Well, good afternoon. Welcome to 2024, our first Lunch and Learn episode this year, where we're going to be discussing the topic of mastering documents, document templates in Microsoft Office. So I'd like to welcome you all here. It's nice to see so many connected as well. So let's just jump straight in, as we always do. This is a brief session, so we can maximize the time we've got. So I want to talk to you briefly about a common problem that we see when people contact us for day-to-day support. They have problems sometimes with their documents that they've saved or created in the past, Word documents, Excel files, and so on. And all sorts of weird niggles pop up with them. And the common reason that people have problems with these documents is because they're using that document over and over and over again as a template for something that they use repeatedly. So, for instance, they might have a letter that they've stored, and regularly they'll open that letter up in Word and they'll replace the name, the address, the date, and some of the content, print it, save it, or email it, save it. And that's gone on for years in many cases. So what's the problem with doing that? Well, multiple problems, really. I'm going to give you 4 examples now. So firstly, there's always a risk when you open up a previous document you've created. Let's take the letter example, that when you've made those changes, when you hit save, you'll overwrite the previous version of the letter you had. You may need to keep that. And what do I do? So you have to go back to your IT guys and say, can I get this back from backups, please? That's not ideal, is it? To compound that problem, the second problem you may face is if that document is stored in OneDrive or in SharePoint, then the autosave function that is enabled automatically, well, the moment you start making changes to that letter or whatever the document is, it will start to overwrite the previous version. And you may not want that. Also, over time, a lot of clutter builds up inside the document file. For example, a Word file contains more than just the words that you see on the screen. There's lots of formatting information. There are tracked changes, author information, print settings, links to different fonts that each person's had installed. And every time you edit and reuse that document, that clutter in the document builds up and eventually can cause problems with the document. And that gets compounded further when multiple people are working with the same files. And then finally, perhaps the other problem you'll face is that the document you're using is being quite old. Is it actually compliant with your company's latest brand guidelines? Has it got the latest logo? Is it the right font? Is the spacing correct? Margins? And so on. So by reusing a file, you can lead yourself into all sorts of trouble. Welcome templates. So what is a template? Well, a template is a document that you design from scratch, and it contains all of the content and the design elements that you'll need as a starting point each time you want to create a new document based on that look and feel. In fact, you'll be using templates without even knowing it. Every blank document you create in Word, every blank sheet you create in Excel or PowerPoint presentation, or even a blank message in email starts from a blank template that Microsoft provide with the Office suite. So probably the best way to illustrate this is with a quick slide. Let me just quickly do a screen share. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. You can see here some pictures of some baking tins. So I don't know if you're a keen baker or you've watched someone else do baking, or you're one of the armchair bake-off viewers. Either way, you'll see that bakers use a baking tin or a baking mold to get the shape of the item that they are baking so it looks like what they want. So in the middle of our slide, for example, we see one there of a mold that looks like a heart. So every cake that's baked in that mold will have that same basic shape, that of a heart. But also, interestingly, every cake baked in that mold will be unique and have characteristics that will be different from the previous cake baked in that mold. But the end result is the desired result, which is a cake in the shape of a heart. Now, that would apply in our template scenario. So, for example, excuse me, it would apply to all the sorts of different documents you create on a day-to-day basis. So if you create, for instance, an invoice in Word, which is probably not a good example, but overall, the invoices that you create from that template would always look like an invoice, but each one is unique, isn't it? With specific content that makes it that invoice. So when you need to create more than one invoice, you can create a template to help make sure that you create an invoice look that is repeatable and accurate and also works for you as well. So this example of an invoice template, it would contain your logo, your address, the invoice details, the table for the billing items, boxes for totals along with payment details, VAT or sales tax, etc. You just fill in the blanks. And your template could also include formulas to help calculate the tax, or a date field to reduce you having to keep updating that every time you create a new invoice. And you could extend that example to other sorts of documents. It could be, for example, a purchase order, a credit note, a quotation, a sales order confirmation, a delivery note, or more. In fact, you could get really clever with these examples. You can combine them all into a single Excel workbook template on different tabs. Another example might be a newsletter template. You might send out a monthly newsletter. So your logo, your placeholders for the content, the colors, and more is all there, ready for you to create your regular newsletter. You don't need to delete last month's content. A final example, perhaps you're doing a monthly budget report in Excel. So the column headers, the fonts, the formulas, if you've got a dashboard you've created, it's all there, all linked up, all pre-configured. You just need to type in or paste in the raw data, and the template does the rest for you. Let's stop our share. Okay, so we're going to jump into our demonstration now. We're going to look at 3 examples of using Office templates. We're going to look at a Word document, and that will be a letter. We're going to look at an Excel workbook, which we're going to use the example of an invoice template. And we're going to create an email template in Outlook as well. Now, these will all be really simple templates. This is not a session about how to design documents, but it will demonstrate the practicality of how templates can really work for you. And at the very end, so hold on, and I'll show you how to upload and use those templates in SharePoint as well. So let's just bring up our virtual computer. So I'm going to do another share. Okay, I'm just going to move this toolbar to a different screen. Very good. So we've got our virtual computer here. First of all, let me just show you, if I open up Microsoft Word on my computer here, and I'm going to create a new document. But when you create a new document inside of Microsoft Word or Excel, okay, that hasn't worked, has it? Excuse me. Okay, you'll notice that there are a number of baked-in templates that Microsoft provide as part of your Office suite. So down here, you can see we have a calendar, we've got a simple invoice here, we've got an agenda, and so on. So Microsoft provide templates to get you started. And you can search for templates as well using the search box here or using the categories that are available there. The same in Excel and PowerPoint as well. There's lots of tools to help you get started quickly and create a great-looking document. So I just want to demonstrate very quickly the danger of what we just talked about a moment ago. So let's just close Word, and I'm going to find a document on my computer here. So if I go into my documents folder, we've got I've got a Word document here, which is called Product Catalog Request. So let me open that. Okay, so I've actually created a letter before. It's got my company logo and address, some contact details for me. And it's also got my letter, so I can see the address of my customer, the date of the letter, and the content of my letter as well. Now, let's say that's all great. I'm going to basically replace this now. I've already sent Mr. Smith his catalog. I need to send one to Mr. Jones now. So I'm going to update this with his address, and he may live in a completely different road, and so on. And I've updated my letter here, and I'm just going to hit save. That's great. So very simply now, I've created a letter. I can print that now or put it into a PDF, whatever that might be. The thing is, what just happened to the letter for Mr. Smith? Well, it's gone. Now, this is just sending a product catalog. It's probably not that important, and hopefully we'd record his details in our CRM. But let's say we weren't operating at that sort of level. I've now lost that contact information for Mr. Smith. I can't send him my 2025 catalog. So over saving, like we just did, I can close that now. And if I reopen the same file, we'll say, they'll say it's Mr. Jones. What should I have done? Well, rather than just hitting the save button, I should have gone File, Save a Copy, and then given it a new name, which could have been for Mr. Jones. But it's too late. I've already lost Mr. Smith. So there's a danger there in over-saving documents. So what I could have done instead was I can save my document as a template. So we're going to do that in a moment. Now, let me just jump out of Word again here. I'm going to go to File Explorer and look at my documents window that we've got here. And we can see here, I've got some documents, and there's a column here called Type. And I can see here, if I expand that, because Microsoft are quite stingy with the pixels they give you on screen, I can see these are both Word documents here. So that's one way you can identify if the file you're looking at is a document or a template, because if it was a template, it would say a Microsoft Word template. There's another way you can identify a document versus a template as well. If we go to the View menu here, and in Windows 10, it will be ever so slightly different, and I go to Show, I can turn on something called File Name Extensions. So if you're in Windows 10, you'd click on View, Options, and you'd see this as a tick box. Let's turn on the File Name Extensions. And you'll notice now on the end of the file name, I can see .docx. And that tells me these are documents. If these were templates, they would read DOTX, T for Tango, T for template. Okay, so you can see your different document types here in Explorer. So why don't we just very quickly create ourselves a letterhead and that we can use as a template going forwards. We're going to put into our template a logo, some text, and a footer, and we'll save it as a template. So I'm prepared to do this. I've already got in my pictures folder a logos folder here. So I've got different files here. Notice the file name here. This might be interesting for you. I actually got the ChatGPT DALL-E component to create my logo for me. So you'll see how good that is in a moment. So we're going to go into Microsoft Word. I'm going to start with a blank document. And from here, I need to get into the document the content I need. So let's start with my logo, shall I? So I'm going to go to the Insert menu. I'm going to insert a picture from this device. And I'm going to go to my Pictures folder where I've already got my logo stored into Logo. Now, I've actually resized it into different sizes. I don't need a huge one here, so I'm going to pick my smaller one and insert that. And even that's still quite big. So I can resize that and make that the size that I need. I'm actually going to make this so that it aligns tightly around the text that I'm about to type there. And I'm also going to go back to my Home tab here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my text here to right align. I may need to move my picture over as well. So now if I just type in my company name, which is Extreme Training, and I'm going to put in my address. Okay, I can put my telephone number as well. Okay, so I can format this if I need to. I can make that bold. I can make that a little bit bigger. I'm using some keyboard shortcuts here to help us out with that. Oops, made a bit of a fluff of that. Let's try that again. Okay, so now I've got a very rough logo here, and my text is formatting a bit weird. So what I'm going to do to make that look a bit prettier, I'm going to make my logo a bit bigger, so it's aligned up properly with my text. The other way I could do that is make the spacing smaller here, and I can do that from the paragraph tab here, and I can reduce the spacing down to single line spacing, for example. In fact, let's just adjust that one further, reduce the spacing afterwards to 0. There we go. So I've now got nice compressed text, make my logo a bit smaller. Okay, now I'm going to left justify my text, and I can just put in here address placeholder, for example. And down here, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to help myself out here. I could just put in the date, but it is possible in Word here that I can actually put into my document some content that I need here. So I could add in date and time, for example. Let's click on that. And I'm just going to put here 16th of January 2024, update automatically. So whenever I use this template in the future, this date will be correct on the day that I create my letter. And I'm just going to put some information at the bottom in my footer. So I'm going to go back to Insert, click on Footer, and I'm going to left justify my text here. And I'm going to put my registration company details in here, because by law, you have to do that these days. And you have to spell it correctly as well. And I'm going to put my VAT number as well. Okay, there we go. So it's a bad example, but I've now got my document. So I can now, as part of my template here, I'm just going to click Dear. And I might want to put some text in here that I can use for my product catalog. So I'm going to jump back to a document I opened earlier and open up my product catalog request. I'm just literally going to lift this text that I've got here to save me having to type it every single time. Copied that with Control and C. And I'm going to paste that here, like so. And I can paste it as text only, or I can paste it with the current formatting. Let's do that. Okay, this is great. I've now got a letter. It's got the text I need. The date will update automatically. I just need to paste the address and the name in. In fact, let's just help myself out here and put in name as a reminder. Now, we could go further with this and have this linked to a mail merge document. We're not going to do that today. So what do I do with this? I go File, I go Save As. And from the Save As screen here, for a start, I am going to change, first of all, the document type. So at the moment it reads Word document, docx. If we drop that list down, you have a whole range of options you can use. So you can save as PDF, for example. If you're used to printing the PDF, this is another way of generating a PDF file. But a bit further up here, we've got Word template. So we're going to choose that, a .x. And I'm then going to go browse, because the way that Office will work is it will try and store my templates in a special folder. So I'm going to go browse, and I want to store my template here. I'm going to create a folder inside Documents. I'm going to call them Templates. So I'm going to go into Templates, and we're going to call this here the Product Catalog Request. Here we go. Catalog Request. And for some reason, it's lost my document types. Let's make that a template again. Okay. So this is what it tries to do. When you set the file type first, it will take you to a special folder called Custom Office Templates. I can store them there. That's great. Groups them all together automatically, but only I have access. I'm going to put them into a different folder called Templates, and I'll show you why in a moment. And click Save. Okay, that's great. And it says here that it's been saved. So if I close my document now, and if I go back to my Documents folder, and we've got a Templates folder now. And if I go into here, you'll see here's my catalog request .x. If I expand the type, you'll see it's a Microsoft Word template. So how do I now create a letter from this template? Literally, I double click it. So when I double click it, it opens the document in Word. In fact, I still had it open, so I'm just going to close that for the benefit of a clean screen. Let's double click it again. So we've now got our document open exactly as it was when we saved it as our template, ready for me to type the address and the name. And if I'm going to print and sign it, that's great. But just notice one thing up here, two things actually. Firstly, the autosave is off. Why is that? It's because the document hasn't been saved yet. Autosave can't save if it doesn't know where to save it to. And you'll notice also it's just called document 1. Document 1 is like the blank document name that Word is going to give you. So we need to save this document, because if I make a change to it, I put some text in there and try and close it, Word will say to me, well, you haven't saved it. Where do you want to save it? So I want to save this. So when I go File and click Save, it's going to take me to the browse screen, Save As. So from here, I can now save this as my letter. So I could go to if I go to Browse, if I go into Documents, and I'm just going to save it here. I'm going to call this this is going to be my Mr. Jones request, like so. And imagine I've put in Mr. Jones's details and hit Save. And now my autosave is on, my version history has been enabled, and I can see the file name at the top here. This is now a document. If I close this and go back to my documents, okay, there's my Mr. Jones request, which is a docx, my Word document. I can click the Mr. Jones file, edit it, save it, do what I like with it. If I want to create a new letter, exactly the same, but this one's for Mrs. Smith, go into Templates, double click on my template, and thank you, Microsoft. I'm good to go with my blank document. I haven't got my text that I added. I'm ready to save. So the beauty of this is now I've always got a clean slate. Now, if you ever want to edit the template, it's a bit fiddly in Windows 11, so it's a good thing we're showing this. If I want to make changes to the template, so let's say, for instance, we're just making some editing to the font for our letterhead, you have to right-click on the template if you're doing it from Explorer and go Show More Options. And then you would choose Open. And what this does, it opens the template for editing in Microsoft Word, and you can see that by the file name up here, catalog request.x. It doesn't say document 1. We're editing the document. And I can now, if I want to, I can change my font, and let's just change that to something silly. Okay, and I'm going to save this. Done. I've edited and saved the template. If I close that, if I now just double click on the Word template and start a blank document, document 1, you'll see here's now got the new font. So if you've got corporate branding that you want staff to follow, this is a great way to make sure everyone's always using the correct look and feel for your documents, or updated formulas, or whatever it might be. Okay, very good. Let's do the same very quickly in Excel. I'm going to close Word here. And I'm going to start off with a template that Microsoft provide. So I'm going to just go to Home here, and I'm going to click on More Templates. Here we are. So here are the templates that Microsoft provide. And there should be one here. If I search for the word invoice, I'm looking for something fairly basic. Okay, simple service in basic business invoice. That sounds great. Let's click on that. We can see what it looks like by the thumbnail. I'm going to create my document based on this. So again, I could insert my logo here. So I can do that in Excel. Insert, picture, and place it in a cell from this device. I've probably got the wrong cell selected, so let me just close that. Click on the right cell this time. Oops. Okay. Insert picture from this device. I'm going to go into my pictures, into my logo folder, grab my small logo. Okay. So it's kind of done something a bit strange. All right. So good old demos. I did this, I rehearsed this earlier. It worked fine. I can place my demonstration in here. I'm going to cheat now. I'm going to actually just do it over the top of the cells. Here we go. And I'm just going to plant that exactly where I need it. I can update my company name here. So let's call it Extreme Training. There we go. And I can update the address and so on. I can change into the colors and the look and the feel if I want to as well. The VAT rate, let's put that in there as 20%, like so. I'm just going to change that field so it reads percentage. Like so, there we go. So if I, for instance, was selling widget number 1 and the amount was £10, oops, put my number lock on, here we go. It's now calculated my cost correctly. It's added 20%. There we go, great. So let's say, for instance, I just want to keep this now as my template. I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to hit Browse. And then from here, just like we did in Word, I'm going to change it. Instead of saying a Word template, I'm going to choose an Excel template, which is here, XLTX, Excel template. Just click on that. Again, it takes me to my custom Office templates folder. I don't want to put it in there. I'm going to go to Templates. I'll just basic business invoice. That's absolutely fine. Let's remove the 1 off the end and hit Save. So I've now done the same here in Excel. I could have multiple tabs down the bottom. It doesn't really matter. I've got a template. Let's close it. So I've now got my 2 templates together. Let's double click on the Excel template. And here we go. Basic business invoice 1. It's not saved. We can tell that here from the autosave is not on. I can enter in the name and contact details of the person. I can add more widgets for sale. We'll make this one widget number 2, and this one's £20. So it's up because my formula is built into my template. It's working everything out for me. I can now save as, and I can save that to my, if I have an invoices folder, for example, which I do, I can save this as invoice 101, like so. So I'm not editing invoice 100 to do this. I've got copies of both of them now, and they both look exactly the same. So that's quite handy as well. Let's do the same in Outlook. You can create in Outlook a message template. So if you're regularly sending emails with the same text over and over, then this is a real time saver for you. So we're going to, first of all, start with a blank email. So new email. It's the same as Word and Excel. We started, didn't we, with a blank document or blank sheet. We'll put my my subject in. Thanks for your interest. Exclamation mark. Okay, that's great. And I've got some text I've already created to paste in here. So I'm just going to go to my File Explorer. I've got my product catalog request email file here. It's going to open this document. There's the text that I want in my email. Close that. I've just pressed Control-C to copy. There we go. Dear Mr. Smith. That's great. And so I've got my email content ready to go now. I don't obviously want to put in the email address I'm sending it to, because each time it would be unique, wouldn't it? So I'm now going to go File, and I'm going to go Save As. You probably didn't know you could save an email. So let's go Save As. And I'm going to do exactly the same here. I'm going to change the file type from an Outlook message to an Outlook template. And you never guess what it's going to do. It's going to jump us to a completely different folder. That's fine. We're going to go back to Documents, go back into Templates, and there's my file name. I'm happy with that. It's picked up my subject as the file name. I'm going to hit Save. Great. Let me just close that. Do you want to save changes? No. If I go into my templates folder now, you'll see I've actually now got an email type file here. It's got a little message icon next to it. It says Outlook item template. If I just double click on that, it will start a blank email with my subject and my content. And all I've got to do is paste in the email addresses that it's going to and hit send. So that's a great way. You can put in your email banner if you have a manual signature you put in there, all sorts of things. And there's various other things within Outlook that you can add in the way of pictures and so on. Just be aware, not all devices render emails exactly the same. Some devices only receive the text version of emails. So just don't go too snazzy with it. You may find it's a wasted effort. Okay. Now, I promised you I'd show you how you can actually upload templates for use in SharePoint, because we've got our templates here on our computer, but we want to make them available for other people to use. Now, there's two ways you can do that. Let's close Outlook here. I'm going to open up my Explorer browser here, Edge Explorer, and we've got a number of SharePoint sites ready to go here. I'm going to jump into my operations site in SharePoint. So I could help my staff out. If I go into documents, I could create a folder here inside my document library. In fact, we've got one already called templates. Let's say I want everyone to use the templates from here. So I could upload those when I literally do that. Here they are. I can literally just drag those and into Explorer, that's so, and let go. And they'll upload those files. You can see uploading. Here we go. And my files are there. Now, that doesn't work too well here in the web-based version of SharePoint. So the best way people would want to use this, if they synchronize either the operations site or they synchronize the templates folder. Let's hit sync. Okay, that's fine. OneDrive is going to synchronize this folder for us now. If I go back to File Explorer, and if I look under Extreme Training here, Operations Templates, there are my files here that have been synchronized by OneDrive. I can now use these files to launch my business invoices, my catalog requests, or email catalog requests immediately. And because all staff have got access to this folder, they can all do the same and use the same templates. If you ever want to update those templates, you would just update them here. You would right click, more options, open, and edit that. So everyone always gets the latest version of the template. The other way you can do this is you can, if I go to the document library here, and if I click on new here, you'll notice down the bottom here is an add template option. Now, if I add a template, it's going to ask me to show me, well, what template do you want added to this menu? So I'm going to go into my documents, into my templates, and I'm going to use the catalog request letter. Open that. And nothing happens. But if I now click on the new button, I can now create a new catalog request here from the menu here. And I can upload multiple templates to this new button, so that when people are creating new documents based on this, if I click on that, let's see what happens. It launches Word. That's okay. Now, you may find some of the formatting a bit odd in the online version of Word, so you may want to edit in the desktop version of Word to get the best possible results. But if you just got plain text or so on, then that would work really well. And as a bonus as well, in your organization, if you are using SharePoint, it is possible as well to create a document library like our documents folder here, and you can use it as a central storage location for automatic templates in your organization. Now, what I mean by automatic templates is that once it is created and you've uploaded your templates to that particular folder, you can then configure Microsoft Office on all of your staff's computer to use that location in SharePoint as its template repository. So when you go into Word, you'll see here, if we went on more templates or across the featured bar, you would see your business template showing here in addition to the Microsoft ones as well. Now, it's a little bit technical how you achieve that. There's some behind the scenes stuff that has to be done. But if you need help with that, then please reach out to us. So I'm going to stop the screen share here. Hopefully you found that interesting. Use your imagination as to what you could use templates for. Think about how you can use templates to save time as well as improve accuracy. So we talked about having formulas and sheets ready to go, or date fields, page numbers, that sort of thing in your documents. And that can really then help to improve and automate things as well for you. So thank you so much for joining today. I hope you found that useful. Next month, we're going to keep the topic of our lunch and learn on a practical subject. We're going to be discussing the theme, how to organize your work life and your personal life with Microsoft To Do. So look forward to seeing you then. Look out for the invite, and the recording of this particular session will be uploaded to YouTube in the next few days. So lovely to see you. Take care.